It was Louisville's center of jazz, food, heart, and soul. 2 blocks from 4th Street, a vibrant and unique neighborhood, home to African Americans, open to everyone. How did it all disappear in 4 years? Long before East Market Street became New Lou and the neighborhood with a must-see personality, and just 2 blocks away from what is now 4th Street Live, Louisville had an entire street that was electric and in the middle of the city. What happened to Walnut Street? It was the heart of Louisville's African American community that opened its arms to everyone in segregated times.
This was the hub of the black community in Louisville, Kentucky.
They say history is who we are and why we are the way we are. For famed sculptor Ed Hamilton,
I will never get Walnut Street out of my blood.
Walnut Street's what we now drive down as Muhammad Ali Boulevard in Louisville. But when segregation split the city, Walnut between 6th and 13th was a booming place for black business. A place where African Americans worked, shopped, lived, and owned stores.
There was no woe on Louisville's amazing Walnut Street in the 1950s and early 60s.
It was the heart of the Mecca of the black community.
You begin to feel an up-tempo feeling once you hit Walnut Street.
That tempo meant the top blues and jazz singers in America at the time.
Now the blues will make you feel.
Helen Humes, a star born in Louisville, sang after high school on Walnut Street for Louisville's first black band.
That was my heart.
And the most famous blues star in the 50s, the Queen of the Blues, Detroit's Dinah Washington, came often to Walnut Street's Lyric and Grand Theaters.
There was always exciting buzz on Fridays. I mean, that's when people got paid. People were spending money. People went out for the first time that week for dinner. They engaged with their friends over a cocktail.
But Walnut Street had a different significance for African Americans in terms of economy. Historians say the 30s through the 50s saw Walnut Street at its best.
Thriving, yes, yeah.
City directories listed 154 black-owned businesses in 1932 alone.
Money was flowing.
And pictures tell the tale. Need to eat?
Old chili parlor was very popular.
Grab a drink?
Charlie Moore's.
Right next door.
It was located between 9th and 8th on Walnut Street.
2 newspapers and 3 theaters.
We went to the Lyric, to the Grand, and to the Palace.
The list goes on and on. And the more we talk to people,
everything was on Walnut Street.
It's like they could almost still see it today.
Stretching from 6th Street to the west, Walnut Street was row after row of banks, restaurants, nightclubs, apartments, homes, and people.
Anyone who came to Louisville, I can believe you, bet you, if they were black, touched Walnut Street because it was the heart.
Historian Ken Clay says in a time of segregation, when African Americans weren't even allowed to try on clothing at the stores 2 blocks over on 4th, Walnut Street was supported by whites.
Louisville was very unique in that it had a very strong relationship between the black power brokers of Louisville and the white power brokers of Louisville.
It was a very exciting time, and there were a large number of whites in Louisville who embraced Walnut Street and supported black commerce with their money, with their presence.
Getting the gold medal, it was real thrilling.
Cassius Clay, then Muhammad Ali, would parade after his victories here. Little did Ali know at the time this would later become his street.
History was not kind to this street remembered with such love. In the 1950s and 60s, Louisville embraced urban renewal, a federal program designed to tear down properties and build back something new. Here's a list of some of the places in the renewal zone. The wrecking ball swung hard here. It forced families to move, it forced businesses to close, and by the end of the 60s, the 8 blocks of Walnut and those surrounding it, the heart of the black community, was flattened, dead, and gone. Many businesses moved but didn't survive. And what became of that precious land? Much of it now public housing.
Urban renewal, the 1950s and 60s federal program designed to save cities by tearing out blocks of old buildings, hit Walnut Street hard. In a short 4-year period, the 7 blocks, more than 100 buildings, from 6th to 13th, were leveled. Pictures from both the Filson Historical Society and U of L photo archives show the demolition as it happened. Buildings like this one, gone. Over here, another one, gone, gone, and gone. The only remaining building.
Only remaining building on this part of town right now, Walnut Street. That's right. Nothing else survived.
The Mammoth Life Insurance Building at 6th and Walnut housed the barber shop owned by Ed Hamilton's dad. You can see the shop in the front of the building. Mammoth Life is that only building from Walnut Street's heyday still standing. It is now River City Bank.
In the last part of the early 60s, this is the last time I've seen this. All that's been torn down.
Behind the facade, upstairs, are the offices where insurance policies and bank loans were given to African-American customers. Mammoth was the largest African-American owned business in Kentucky.
Hearing people, all the machinery, the typing, and people talking.
Inside, you flash back to the late 60s. The paint is peeling, and in the window, the original curtains are still there from the day the place cleared out.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
In the basement, we found the printing presses that celebrated Mammoth's 1965 Service Club banquet honoring employees.
25th year service club of the Mammoth Life.
And architects' plans of the projects the company funded.
Looks really old here.
How did the Mammoth building survive the wrecking ball?
Mammoth Life sold insurance policies throughout the region and southern states. It was connected to a major investor in Atlanta. And so you had that kind of economic power there. And so they skipped that business on that side. On the north side, they tore down all the other business.
Urban renewal was devastating to more than just buildings.
When the neighborhoods go, and the money goes, and the people go, then your business suffers.
Urban renewal came through, and it just destroyed the whole area, meaning relationships were lost.
We're approaching the area that was cleared by urban renewal.
History doesn't just tell us what happened. Some voices tell us why, like former Louisville Mayor Charles Farnsley.
Their motive was, as they told me, to drive the Negro back from the central area. They felt that way downtown wouldn't become the Black Belt. It was a cruel thing, and well, later, as you all know, urban renewal was called Negro removal by the Negroes and by the people who were sympathetic with them. And that's what it was. It almost always tore down the homes of black people or poor people.
Well, they separated it, you know, just like a bomb that just blew up an area, and then it never came together again.
Is looking east, back to 4th Street from what is now 7th and Ali. The treasured picture now covers the entire wall at the Louisville Central Community Center. Sam Watkins zeroed in on what it captures.
I see all the cars parked there. It's probably because people work, you know, during the day. So that's probably Saturday. You talking about all the cars on both sides.
I grew up in Louisville, Kentucky, in the inner city, between 2 villages, Shepherd Square and Beach Terrace. Well, I've grown up in the Russell neighborhood, literally all of my life.
Kevin Fields is on a mission known as a problem solver. He's creating a formula to make as many youth as he can be successful.
I'm a firm believer that, children are brilliant from the moment that they're born. They're brilliant from birth. It's just a matter of what the cultivation experience of life is going to offer them in terms of having access to opportunity, access to people who care, access to learning, and being encouraged.